Welcome back, boys and girls. Here's one of my favorite books. It's titled The Worm Family Has Its Picture Taken, and it's a wonderful story about embracing what makes us unique. You know, each and every one of us is very special. This is written by Jennifer Frank, and it's illustrated by Caldecott Award winner David Ezra Stein. Mrs. Worm lay at the top of a giant dirt pile, watching her children play. They were wriggling their bodies into all kinds of delightful shapes. She hoped she'd always remember how squirmy, slimy, and cute they were at this age, but she did not have a very good memory because her brain was so tiny.
I know, she declared. I'll have a picture taken.
The very next day, Mrs. Worm called Mr. Muskrat, the photographer, to arrange a time. Then she told her family. "That is so cool," the oldest Emma exclaimed. She loved the idea of being able to see herself hanging on the wall every day. Emma could hardly wait to tell her friend, Ellie.
How splendiferous,
squealed Ellie.
We had our picture taken last year, and it was amazing. We had the most beautiful smiles.
Cool, said Emma. But then she thought about how worms don't have teeth. How would they have beautiful smiles in their picture? Oh well, she decided, we will still have a nice way to remember our family. On her way home, Emma bumped into her friend Abigail and told her about the family portrait.
Too fabulous,
meowed Abigail. I just love having my picture taken. My human always takes me to the beauty salon first so that my big poofy hair will look especially gorgeous. Cool, said Emma. But then she thought about how worms don't have hair. How could they look poofy and gorgeous in their picture? Oh well, she decided, we will still have a nice way to remember our family. Boys and girls, if you look at this illustration, you can see that, well, she's getting a little disappointed. Do you see her body language? That's what happens when we compare ourselves to others. As she continued on her way, Emma was feeling a bit less excited. At the forsythia bush, she saw her friend Olivia sitting on a branch. Emma told her about the portrait.
Oh, wowee,
squeaked Olivia and flitted high above Emma's head.
My family took one of those just last week, and all our colors made it look like a rainbow.
Cool, said Emma sadly, as Olivia fluttered away on the breeze. She was already thinking about how worms are just, well, one color. Her family was beautiful. She knew they were, but there would be no bright colors in their picture. Oh, well, she decided, we will still have a nice way to remember our family. But the rest of the trip home, Emma couldn't help feeling much less excited. As Emma fell asleep that night, she thought about what her friends had said. How was her family going to make their portrait special? When she woke up, she had an idea. The day of the photo shoot arrived, and Emma had a surprise for everyone. Oh my goodness. Take a look at all of the costume pieces Emma has ordered in. I see hats and shoes and sparkly glasses and wigs. Oh dear, I'm predicting they're going to try to dress up to look like something they are not.
Pretty,
Her little sister squealed excited. Mr. and Mrs. Worm were less sure. Their new look was not comfortable. They even have fake lips and fake teeth. Oh, goodness. Even though the Worm family arrived at the studio on time, Mr. Muskrat would not take their picture.
I'm sorry, he said. I have an appointment with a family of worms. You will have to come back another day. But we are the family of worms,
said Mrs. Worm. The photographer laughed.
Oh, for one thing, worms do not have teeth, he said.
Mrs. Worm quickly instructed her family to spit out their fake teeth. Patooey.
And they do not have hair, said Mr. Muskrat.
The family took off their wigs.
And they most definitely are not colorful.
The family undressed. They all said. Oh, I bet that feels so much better for them, don't you?
Oh,
said Mr. Muskrat, looking very surprised.
I'm terribly sorry. I didn't recognize you.
Then, together, the Worm family wiggled and squiggled and squeezed into a delightful pose only a worm family could make. Look at that. Can you tell what those worms are spelling out? I'll give you a hint. It's a word that most photographers tell us to say so that we are smiling. It says cheese. Mr. Muskrat snapped the picture. The first of their many annual portraits was taken. The next morning, Emma sat with her family admiring the portrait now hanging in their worm hideaway. "It's perfectly perfect," she whispered, and she would have reached out and given them a great big hug if she'd had arms. The Worm family has its picture taken. A wonderful story to remind us that we are all special, just the way we are. So just be you. Until we read again, boys and girls. Adios, amigos. Goodbye.